Good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here, of course, with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's get open for business here. Let's wake up those football gods here. Yesterday we lost one of the all-time great football gods in John Madden, who was an incredible coach, an incredible commentator, as well as a great human being. And he will definitely be missed. I implore a lot of you to understand, to go back and just watch old film footage of football as it used to be back in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. And you'll see the difference of football then versus now, and the rawness of it, the lack of production, and how it was just felt real. It truly felt real. Don't get me wrong. I love football in its form as it is now, but I opine for the days of my youth and guys like John Madden on the sidelines. So definitely rest in peace, John Madden. For the Dallas Cowboys, what a difference a week makes. Last week going into the game, everybody talked about Dak Prescott slumping, Dak Prescott hurt, Kellen Moore being terrible. Well, Kellen Moore and Dan Quinn are apparently being asked to interview for the Jacksonville Jaguar job. I'm not looking at that and saying that that's a premier job that you really want to take, but the fact that people look and recognize the work that you've done says a lot. It says a hell of a lot about the job that they've done. I know as Cowboy fans, we're never satisfied, and we look at it and say there's always got to be somebody better. But the reality is we've won the division for the first time since 2018. We're 11-4. We're the number 2 seed in the NFL, the second best record in the NFL, with a quarterback who has just won NFC Offensive Player of the Week for his past week performance of 4 TDs, 4 touchdowns to a running back, a wide receiver, a tight end, and an offensive lineman, something that has only been done one other time in the NFL by Hall of Famer Kurt Warner. And getting a win in a division who is now 5-0 in their division, and getting some momentum as they're going through here, with a defense that went from 29th in scoring defense to 7th, and number 1 at taking away the football. A defense right now that teams are scared of. And Eagles, let me explain to you the difference of you guys saying we're scared of you. We ain't scared, buddy. We ain't scared. But you might want to be scared of that defense that has been taking away the ball like crazy, that's been getting after the quarterback's ass, that has been taking no shit and no prisoners. You might want to be fearful of that. But just like people looked at the last few weeks and they say, Dak's been in a slump, Cowboys offense, isn't as good. I've been saying that a lot of the problems have been a lot of the problems of Tyron Smith not being there, Zeke Elliott not being healthy, Tony Pollard being gone for a couple of games, Amari Cooper. You can't have those many players, CeeDee Lamb, in and out of the lineup and think that you will perform on that same level. And it's almost comical to me because I was in my workshop before I went down to my cousin's house, and I was listening to Colin Cowherd. Unfortunately, it was flagged by Fox Sports, so they didn't want it out there. But I was listening to them talking about the Rams and Matthew Stafford. And instead of saying Matthew Stafford, who's had 9 interceptions since week 9, a couple of pick sixes, who had 3 interceptions last week in their win, they went on to say, well, it was a great thing because, Matthew Stafford wasn't playing great, but the defense came along and people stepped up, the running game and all these things made up for Matthew Stafford. I didn't get that same thing with Dak Prescott because the Cowboys were winning. The Cowboys were winning. And they were talking about, you would have thought, if you didn't know what the score was, that the Cowboys lost 4 games in a row and not win 3 games in a row. It was totally, it just literally blew my mind. But here's the thing that's kind of funny. If you actually look at the stats, as they've talked, and I'm not saying that Dak was playing on the same level. I'm not. I'm not going to. But you would have thought that this was like a rookie quarterback that was throwing pick sixes left and right, that was fumbling the ball, that he was doing terrible things. But here's the crazy thing. Since the Chiefs game, the Chiefs games, we had no touchdown passes. In fact, Dak had 2 interceptions. If you go through there, the Chiefs, the Raiders, the Saints, Washington, the Giants, and then Washington, as bad as everybody said Dak played, he had 10 TDs and only 5 interceptions. Not great. But if that's the worst that he's going to do, we're pretty good. That's pretty good, actually. And on the season, Dak has got 29 TDs, 10 interceptions, with 100 rating and almost 4,000 yards. Guys, that's what you want to have. And so I'm okay. I'm okay with my quarterback. I'm okay with my defense. And quite frankly, and I hate to put expectations out there because expectations are building blocks of resentment. When you expect a team to do something and when they start doing well, then all of a sudden you say, oh, okay, those guys, yeah, they got to win it all. But as you look at the playoff picture, you know, the experts are going to say, yeah, well, the Cowboys, they're going to be one and done. You know, they're going to be choke artists and things. Okay, I hear what you're saying because you're going by what things that have happened in the past. I understand that completely. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that's kind of crazy. When you look at the Cowboys right now, number one, taking the football away. Some people say, yeah, well, if you take away the takeaways, then they're not as good of a defense. They give up a lot of yards, which is true. But how do you take away the takeaways? Takeaways are one of the biggest things that you can get in football. They are the biggest game changers out there. They're what you work towards trying to get, so you don't take away takeaways. That's a direct reflection on how you play defense. When you're more aggressive, you take the football away. And sometimes you get burned because you are more aggressive. But you want to end up taking the ball away more than you have big plays. And for the most part, that's what this Cowboys defense has done. The Legion of Boom, that's exactly what they did. They gave more opportunities to Russell Wilson and the offense. And they had beast mode, and they could run it down your throat. Russell Wilson, their Super Bowl year, only had 21 TD passes. That's it. He didn't have to throw for 38, 40 touchdown passes for them to win for the season. It was a balanced team, and a balanced team is what you want. And for the Cowboys to have this defense that's ranked 7th in scoring, number 1 in takeaways, and have the offense that, as bad as people say Kellen Moore and Dak Prescott are, is the highest scoring offense in football, as well as most yards. If you're number 1, you can't go any higher than that. So this morning, Rex Ryan breaks down the Cowboys versus the Arizona Cardinals. And you might remember Kyler Murray talking about the Cowboys that basically, let me look up the quote exactly because I want to make sure. I don't want to misquote somebody. But Kyler Murray, they were always ass. I'm hoping that the Cowboys go old school and they put that up on the bulletin board or on the tablets or everywhere. They were always ass, that Kyler Murray said that, and that the Dallas Cowboys go to that ass and get Kyler Murray. Let's listen to the Talking Heads this morning and see what they got for us.
Where the Cowboys clinched the NFC East last week. Their first time winning the division since 2018. The NFC East has not had a repeat winner for an NFL record 17 straight seasons. Now, over their 4-game winning streak, they have an NFL best 14 takeaways, including 3 picks by Trayvon Diggs. He now has 11 picks on the season, tied with Everson Walls for the most in franchise history. And Dak Prescott has been putting together a monster performance in Sunday's win versus Washington, throwing for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns for the first time this season. Jerry Jones addressed his QB play yesterday.
Jerry, you had said previously that it would be fair to say that Dak Prescott may have been in a slump.
What slump?
What slump? What slump?
Says it all. His play calling was outstanding. The execution, his reads, his ability to get the ball off, get his feet right, make those throws, all of that worked.
Sounds like it's all clicking once again, so let's bring our guys back in. And Dominique, I start with you. Is the Cowboys offense back?
I think so. Yeah, I know that they were playing against Washington, who isn't very good, but part of the problem with the Cowboys offense was Dak's decision-making the last several weeks. And it doesn't matter who the opponent is when it comes to decision-making. He's making the right decisions, and he's really effective. He's been really effective all career, honestly, but most of all this season against the blitz. And we saw that he was able to be aware of that. Previous weeks, he was not as aware of those blitzes, where they were coming from and what decisions to make in those situations. It seemed like though Washington was not as aggressive as some teams, Dak seemed really comfortable in all circumstances, which I think obviously he's the quarterback. He's the key to the offense. He's the key to this offense, and he's the key to how far this team can go. And they should be feeling good considering Dak's track record and him showing that he can get back to those great heights.
Right. It's exactly what Cowboy fans wanted to see. Rob Ninkovich, what do you think? Is he back?
Well, I think it's a good game. I think it's one good game considering the last 6 have been kind of a struggle for this team. And I think the one common denominator for anybody that's been a football player, and Dominique can speak on this as well as myself, you know, when you're playing, it's all about consistency. And the Cowboys have been inconsistent this year. And what are you going to get when they move forward? What are they going to be when they hit the playoffs? I know that they just beat the Washington football team, which in my view, I don't know if they were a Super Bowl contender, if they were a playoff team, but I know this. When they play Tampa, when they play the Rams, when they play the Packers, those teams are really good. So they're going to have to be at their best. They're going to have to be clicking and firing on all cylinders. If they have any slip up at all, they're going to lose. So for me, you know, I'm a realist and I used to play football. So when I watch stuff, I like to see consistency, and they didn't have the consistency. Yeah, they won the game. They look great, but I'm not jumping on they're Super Bowl champions right now.
Graz, Nico makes a great point. I mean, this is a team that's been really up and down, but I wonder if we're seeing the top end of what they can be, and maybe they're in a zone right now.
It may be. Look, I've not played football, but I am a realist, and I also enjoy seeing consistency. The Cowboys need to hit the playoffs feeling good about themselves. They believe that they can be what they were on offense on Sunday. They believe that they can be the defense they've been for the last couple of months. They have the good fortune of having built a strong cushion in the division so they can work out their issues without fear of missing the playoffs. And I think they're sitting here right now with 2 games to go, feeling like, hey, this is a really encouraging sign. You heard Jerry Jones's voice. He's excited about what his team showed and what they can be going forward. Will they win the Super Bowl? Will they make the Super Bowl? I think they're one of the strong NFC contenders, and there are a number of them. But I think if you're the Cowboys, the goal over these final few weeks is to sort of get your mojo back and head into the playoffs feeling like you're playing the way you're capable of. Sunday night was a good step in that direction.
You know, it's interesting. Just a couple weeks ago when they were taking on Washington in that first game, we had Dallas on upset alert. And Neek, now they're beating them with Washington, and now they're beating them by 42 in last week's game. So are you seeing this as a team that really has legs?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're in football. It's a single elimination tournament. So you want to have the best possible team that you can get in, but the best possible team doesn't always win the championship.
That's a good
and
point.
there are going to be injuries going forward in COVID opt-outs or COVID people set down because of COVID close contacts and those sorts of things. So this year's playoffs is going to be as kind of up and down as any year's. And I think that the Cowboys have the good fortune of having so much talent on offense they may be able to get through this season or the playoffs in a way that other teams cannot. So I think Nico's point about consistency is right. And the Cowboys have been very, very consistent on offense for the past 2 seasons. I think the last several weeks haven't been pretty, but this is an offense that I think we can trust. The real question was about the defense. And they've shown the type of consistency week after week that I think you would expect from a team that wants to make a run in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens in the single elimination. But there's only about 3 or 4, maybe 5 teams that I think have a chance of winning the Super Bowl. And the Cowboys, I think, certainly are one of them.
Yeah, they're right up there at the top. And by the way, you mentioned defense. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the show as that defense for Big D is really rolling. Now, you know it by now, but the NFL lost a legend.
Okay, so there you have it. The haters are going to hate. I love how they say the consistency being there, that the Dallas Cowboys aren't consistent. Like I said, they've pounded in your head that the Dallas Cowboys are awful, but yet during that course of stretch, 10 TDs, 2 interceptions. Here's an interesting thing for you. When they tell you that the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott, they're not a good offense. They're a really good, balanced offense. When I say that they have more yards than anybody else, they have 4,200 yards passing and 1,900 yards rushing. That's what you want to have, a balanced offense. So teams can't say, let's stop the run. If they try and stop the run, then you pass. If they are trying to stop the pass, then you lean on the run, which is what you want to be able to have, especially going late into the season. The interesting thing here, as we talk about how great teams and things are and stuff, the Dallas Cowboys are averaging 30.5 points per game. That's a point more than any other team. Tampa Bay is behind them at 29.5 points. The Bills are 2 points behind them at 28.5 points. Kansas City and Pat Mahomes, almost 2.5 points behind them. That's right, 28.1. And as you go down the list, here's what's really amazing to me. This actually just blew my mind because the Philadelphia Eagles are averaging 26.5 points a game. You look at that and say, okay, the Cowboys are averaging 4 points more a game. Yeah. But do you know where Aaron Rodgers is on this list? And the Green Bay Packers? They're a full point below the Philadelphia Eagles at 25.5 points. That's 5 points less per game than the Dallas Cowboys. I didn't realize that one. Freaking Kirk Cousins and their offense is averaging more points per game than the Green Bay Packers. But the perception is, oh, well, the Cowboys, they can't do anything on offense. Dak sucks. But yet, here it is. The Cowboys have averaged 5 more points a game than the Packers. Interesting, to say the least. All right, guys, you know the deal. It's hump day. It's time to get over the hump. We have 2 weeks left of the regular season. We have literally 46 days, 7 hours, 57 minutes until Super Bowl 56. I hope you have a great day. I got work to do in the workshop because I got to get Miss Aisha stuff out. Brian Green, he's getting his Mojo shot, broke-ass media shot glass and hangers. I've got somebody who's getting Eagles and a Cowboys trophy. I got another guy who's getting 6 small Joe Bardis and stuff. So I got work to do. And I'm going to keep on working towards that CNC machine so that way we can really do some really special stuff. But I appreciate you guys each and every morning. Each and every morning that I wake up, I'm blessed because I woke up, I have my wonderful wife, and I have all of you guys. And with that being said, you know how we roll.
Our coach here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report.
You did one hell of a job, and the only thing else I got to say is